Welcome to Escape to the Country. Now, it's said that amongst these beautiful ruins is buried the heart of one of Scotland's most celebrated heroes. But who was he, and why was his heart buried here? Well, join me in just a moment, and I'll tell you. Today's search is all about the great outdoors as we scour the Scottish countryside in search of the perfect plot.
It's incredible.
It's an absolutely stunning view. It's amazing.
And along the way, we find some pretty impressive properties too.
And this is way more than we expected. Hugely.
Good, well, start with a bang, why not? Well, today we're in the Scottish borders, and this is Melrose Abbey. And this stone, many claim, marks the spot where Robert the Bruce's heart was buried. The story goes that back in 1329, when on his deathbed, he asked that his heart be taken on crusade and then returned here to the Abbey. And the inscription on the stone, in my rather bad pidgin Scots, reads, "A noble heart may have nae knees, give freedom fail." Or in today's language, a noble heart cannot have peace if freedom is lacking. Now, with some 700 years of history beneath my feet, I'll be back here later on in the programme to learn more about Robert the Bruce and the wonderful surroundings of the Abbey itself. The Scottish Borders is one of 32 recognised councils in Scotland, sitting south of the city of Edinburgh and north of the English county of Northumberland. Once a region of conflict and warfare, today the Borders is a land of peaceful, picturesque landscapes. Running 97 miles across the region to its mouth at Berwick-upon-Tweed, the River Tweed ranks as one of the top salmon fishing rivers in the world, attracting visitors from far and wide. Crossing the river near Melrose is the prominent Leaderfoot Viaduct, recognisable for its striking height of 125 feet and its 19 arches, each spanning 43 feet. First opened in 1863 to carry the Berwickshire Railway, it was closed following flood damage in 1948 and is now protected by a Grade A listing. 6 miles away, sited high on a rocky outcrop, the rectangular Smailholm Tower was built for defence in the 15th century and is said to have inspired the writings of novelist Sir Walter Scott as a child. Its position offers visitors splendid views of the surrounding countryside, including the distinctive heather-clad summits of the Eildon Hills, one of the area's best-known landmarks, and a must-see for those exploring the awe-inspiring landscape of the Scottish Borders. Well, I always enjoy coming to Scotland. There is a palpable romance about the place. Its landscape, its history, and of course its people all contribute to me to an intoxicating mix that makes the whole place absolutely adorable. And for all of this beauty, well, you may be surprised to learn that property prices are remarkably affordable. Here, the average price of a detached property will currently set you back around about £234,000, and that compares very favourably with the average across the UK as a whole, which at the moment stands at a whopping £313,000. So, as you can probably appreciate, this is a part of the world where those precious pounds really can be converted into acres, which is exactly why today's buyers want to move here. Horse riding instructor Sarah and account manager Colin met 18 years ago. Since they've been together, they've moved 5 times.
Currently we live in a village called Wearsley in a small semi-detached thatched cottage. It's just outside Cambridge. It's a commuter belt for Cambridge, Bedford. The traffic around here is quite busy, so can appear fairly rural until you live here.
Since Sarah and I have been together, every 3 years we seem to move. We started in the West Midlands, we then moved to the Fens, we moved here, we moved to the States, and we moved back here again. And we have another move on the cards.
They've owned their current home for 11 years. But Colin's job with an agricultural chemical company meant they lived in America for 5 of those years.
Every time it's quite an upheaval, starting again in a new place.
The first time I accepted a job change, I didn't consult Sarah. I just said to my boss, yeah, sure, of course we'll move. And when I came back and said, hooray, I've got a new job and we're moving, big mistake. So ever since then, I've learned, always ask first.
This time, Colin's been offered a job in Scotland. For him, it's an opportunity to return to his roots.
We want to move to the Scottish Borders. It's a region in Scotland where I grew up. It's one of the hidden gems. It's full of history, full of culture. Moving to the Scottish Borders, we think will be more of a long-term relocation. You get more of a sense of permanency, belonging somewhere.
They're hoping a move to the countryside will mean more outside space, a larger garden for green-fingered Colin, with plenty of room for their 3 dogs and, most importantly, additional land for Sarah's horse, Benito, to live on site.
I'm not sure where the love of horses originally came from, but when I was 6, I really pestered my parents for either riding lessons or one of those beautiful old-fashioned wooden rocking horses. My father had to make a decision. He opted for the riding lessons, and here I am, rather a number of years later, still very heavily involved in horses.
Colin's also keen to make time for hobbies, something his normally hectic work schedule doesn't allow.
If you go into the garage, you're going to see I've got a whole set of golf clubs, 2 bicycles. Upstairs, I've got a set of bagpipes. I never really get a chance to use any of them, but moving up to the Borders, I think will give me a chance to get the golf clubs out, get the dust off of them. The bagpipes, I don't know, but and I'm not very good, but who can tell?
As Colin has to travel for work, he'd like to be within an hour's drive of Edinburgh Airport. Sarah's priority is to have her horse on site, so she's flexible on location. I'm keen to get started, but first I need to know what kind of property they're looking for.
Well, guys, what a scene setter for your escape to the country. Welcome back to Scotland, Colin. This is where you grew up, isn't it?
It is, and it's a beautiful part of the world.
You know, looking for equestrian properties obviously does narrow our sort of field of fire, as it were, in terms of the search that we're able to undertake. But by the sounds of it, you are more than happy to think about constructing your own stables and training areas and all the rest of it.
Yes, we're happy to do that, and if it means that the right property is available and we just have to add those to make it perfect, then we'll do that.
From your experience, how many acres would really work for you?
Ideally, sort of about 5 acres, definitely not less than 3.
So give us an idea then, Sarah, of what this new house needs to have.
Well, ideally we want a minimum of 2 bedrooms, as long as we also have a study. If there isn't a study, then it would have to be 3 bedrooms.
Yeah. It's really important. I've lived in houses before where I've worked from home, in small rooms. I'm looking forward to somewhere which is a little bit more functional in terms of a proper office.
And what about style? Are you looking for something that's traditionally Scottish, maybe something that harks back to your roots, Colin, or are you up for a more modern affair?
It doesn't matter.
No.
We can always make things the way that we want them to be.
I'm not so bothered about the interior of the house, because for me it's outside, it's land, there's space for the dogs to run. As long as it's functional for us, that's what matters.
In terms of your sort of future work prospects, are you thinking about working from home as well, creating an equestrian business, or still going out to work for other people?
I would like to long-term develop something at home, ideally something along the glamping lines. I've stayed at other people's places where you can take your horse, take your dogs, and it seems, particularly in an area like this, is so beautiful. It'd be a wonderful place for people to be able to do that.
Now, in terms of budget, how much are you proposing to spend on this, Colin?
Up to about 450,000, with everything already ready to go.
Well, I think for £450,000, you've definitely come to the right part of the world. As you know, the Borders, beautiful as they are not the most expensive bit of the country. So I'm pretty optimistic about what we can find you. So, yeah, I think this could go rather well. Let's go and see what we can find you.
For their £450,000 budget here in the Borders, Colin and Sarah need a 2-bedroom house with a study. They're open-minded about the style of the property, but what they can't compromise on is the outside space for Sarah's horse. They need between 3 and 5 acres, preferably with existing equestrian facilities. Now, we found Colin and Sarah 3 potential properties, different in style, but all in equally lovely country settings. At each one, I'll ask them to guess the price before I reveal it, and on our final visit, they'll find out there's more to our mystery house than meets the eye.
Can you ride, Colin?
Not at all, no.
I have put him on a horse before now.
I mean, if anybody can teach him, surely you can.
Yes.
Would you take it up?
No, I have had a go, but it was a painful experience.
Our first property is close to the small village of Ashkirk. A popular spot for those interested in outdoor pursuits, the area has endless footpaths and bridleways to explore, as well as an equestrian centre nearby. For would-be golfer Colin, there's a golf course, as well as a local restaurant with a bar. For the nearest shops and amenities, residents make use of Selkirk or Hoyk, which are both 6 miles away. Just outside Ashkirk, house number 1 has a scenic valley setting.
There we are. What do you think of that then?
Wow.
It's really eye-catching. It's really stunning.
Yes. It's full of character.
The old stone.
It's lovely,
roof,
isn't it?
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
It's an old threshing barn, actually. It was converted about 17 years ago into a beautiful family home.
Yeah. Wow.
I can see the little burn running down the side there.
Yes, now that supplies your water.
Okay.
Really?
Yes, exactly. So you've got your own fresh water supply on tap, as it were. You also get this quite substantial double garage with a little sort of studio above it. There's a little workshop behind that. I'm thinking ahead to the possibility of maybe converting that into holiday lets for your horsey glampers.
Oh, super.
Needless to say, there is some equestrian with this. All right.
Right.
Don't panic. But let's get on with the property itself, and then we'll deal with Benito. And there's some stables. Come
All
on.
right.
This unique property dates back to the 18th century, and being a former threshing mill, it was perfect for conversion, resulting in generous living spaces.
Right. Now, I'm guessing this might be bigger than what you've got at the moment.
Just a bit.
Yeah, come on in. And I'm thinking it's brilliant for your 3 dogs.
They would love it in here.
Yes.
Loving the beams as well. I mean, we have beams in our cottage at the moment, and they're beautiful, but these are a lot higher up than...
Well, this is the joy of converting a building like this. Threshing barns had to contain a lot of gear and had to have a lot of space. So you end up with a beautiful historic box, effectively, and you can create these beautiful proportions, and they have done that throughout.
Wouldn't have to change anything. It's all done.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now, across the hallway, you've got family bathroom in there with a roll-top bath. Very nice. And then this is your living room, which I just love.
It's beautiful.
This window is lovely. It gives a beautiful view, actually, onto this very sweet little sort of cobbled yard out there. And then you've got the wood burner here in the middle.
I like the hard floors because it's easy to clean.
It's so easy. It's so easy. But there is a more intimate space through that door there. Now, it is divided into 2 floors. Above it is the dining room, sort of mezzanine dining room. And then below it, access via a beautiful oak spiral staircase, is the media room. I'm going to let you have the run of that a little bit later on. As a place to work from home, I've not seen better. It's really, really, really good.
There's somewhere for all my books.
Well, you could have a floor each. You could have a study each, linked via the spiral staircase. I mean, you know, that's the joy of it.
So with warm reactions to downstairs, it's time to go upstairs. Here they'll be pleased to find 3 double guest rooms, all of them with more of those high beam ceilings they loved, and a shower room, and of course the master with an ensuite.
And then this is yours.
Oh, wow. Again,
I
huge
know.
room.
When you said we wanted 2 bedrooms, I thought, well, it's a bit on the cheap side, you know. So we've got you 4, of course.
And this is way more than we expected. Hugely.
Good. Well, you know, start with a bang, why not? The other thing it has is this. Come and have a look out here. This rather sweet sort of Juliet balcony, which, to be honest with you, it gives you as good a view as you're going to need of the garden.
It's not just the garden, it's the view out over the hill. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. So I think, you know, we're all agreed that, well, as you said yourselves, I mean, this property so far has offered you more than you were ever expecting.
Hugely so. I'm amazed at what you found.
Now then, acres-wise, you said minimum, was it 3?
Minimum 3.
Ideally,
5.
it's got 5. And some stables. Come with me.
Outside, the large lawn garden provides plenty of space for the dogs with a patio area to the back of the kitchen. There's also garage space for 3 cars with a workshop attached and a room on the first floor. The equestrian facilities are on a separate nearby plot but are included with the property.
So just a short wander from the house. What's it taken us? A minute?
Not even that.
Look, you've got an outdoor school with an all-weather surface on it. Got these 3 loose boxes with a hay barn as well. But you get this paddock, and then here are your 5 acres. That runs up along that fence line and back around to the outdoor school.
That's fantastic. It's just what we wanted.
The only thing I can find to pick fault with is the fact that the house is not immediately adjacent to the land, but there may be some advantage in keeping it a little bit separate.
If that's the length of my commute, I think I can cope with that.
Yeah, and what a place to commute in. Any ideas what this one's on the market for?
You're going to go first?
Well, this is really tricky. It's a guess, complete guess. 425.
I'm going to go a little bit higher than you. I think it's going to be 435. I think the house is fantastic.
This is on at £450,000. But, of course, it is an asking price. Happy?
Very.
Yeah.
Right then, off you go. Go and explore the house.
Thank you.
Come and have a wander around here later if you want to. Oh, well, I am absolutely delighted. This is the perfect package for, I think, the perfect couple. It's all of their budget, but my goodness me, it's all of their future too.
Bang on budget, this spacious converted threshing mill has twice the number of bedrooms Colin and Sarah wanted, some great options for the study, and it comes with 5 acres of land, including stables and an outdoor arena.
Fantastic room.
It's wonderful.
My office room.
Really?
I think so. It's far away from the kitchen, so there's no background noise. I can get in and out to those windows without disturbing anybody. I think it's mine.
The surroundings to this property are stunning. The views out over the hills, all the area that I can go and ride through are just beautiful.
This is a place we could easily live. It's got lots of rooms that are easily adaptable, lots of space for Sarah, for her horses and her dogs.
I'm very excited about this property. I can't believe how lucky we've been to find this straight away.
Look at you two. Have we peaked too soon? This is a great start, isn't it?
It's tremendous. What a find.
I don't know where we go from here.
Well, I do. Come on.
Just an hour's drive south of Edinburgh, set in an area of outstanding natural beauty, is the borders town of Peebles, recently awarded top independent retailing town in Scotland for its variety of shops and unspoilt character. From his workshop in the centre of town, Julian Goodacre has, for over 20 years, been handcrafting an instrument synonymous with Scottish history, the bagpipes. So we've sent keen piper Colin and Sarah along to meet him.
Great to meet you, Julian.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you too as well.
Hi.
Yes.
Why are bagpipes associated with Scotland so much?
I think it's to do with the army, the British Army, and putting pipers together. Piping before that was a solo art throughout Europe. Actually, Scotland was one of the last countries in Britain to get the bagpipes.
Although the first examples of bagpipes are thought to date back to before medieval times, it wasn't until the 1700s that they became linked with Scotland.
Follow me.
Julian is completely self-taught. From his workshop, he makes around 8 types of pipe, from Cornish double pipes to Highland pipes, and the border pipe, which he's making today.
So I've already reamed the inside of this, and now what I have to do is turn the outside to very, very accurate. It has to be exactly the same dimensions.
So why are you doing this?
Everything on the chanter has to be absolutely accurate, and the finger holes have to be in exactly the right position. This is all for musical reasons, because if I made it thicker, it would sound flat, and if I made it thinner, it would sound sharp. So it's critical, this bit of, it's almost like engineering in wood.
Julian sources most of his wood from Leicestershire, where he grew up. He mainly uses wood from fruit trees such as cherry, apple and plum, but this border pipe is made from yew.
So you source all the wood yourself, but do you do any other parts of making the bagpipes?
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I sew up the bags by hand, and I make the reeds out of plastic yogurt pots. I like to do everything myself.
Clearly, Colin's come to the right place to get some expert advice.
So, Julian, these are my small pipes that I purchased over the internet, and I noticed there's a number of differences between mine and yours.
Right, so this is a set of border pipes. A basic difference is this is an indoor instrument, this is an outdoor instrument. And you would have been, if you'd lived in Peebles several hundred years ago, or any border town, you would have been woken up by the town piper playing something like this, and also in the evening told to go to bed. I'll give it a blast.
Throughout his career, Julian has made over 800 sets of pipes, ranging in price from hundreds to a few £1,000s.
So loud, that should wake you up in the morning. I don't know about putting you to bed in the evening.
So after an expert demonstration, it's Colin's turn to practice his piping skills. Julian has a waiting list of over a year, so if Colin would like a new set of pipes, he'd better get his order in.
That takes a lot more air, doesn't it?
So while he catches his breath, it's time to find out where our Scottish Borders property search is taking us next. We're heading towards the coast to the hamlet of Auchencrow. The area boasts some of the most traffic-free roads in Scotland. The quiet hamlet is made up of around 20 properties and a well-regarded pub and restaurant. The nearest shops are a 5-minute drive away in Reston, and it's less than 15 minutes to the coast. The house we're seeing stands proud in an elevated position at the end of a long driveway.
Well, the sun didn't last, as we thought, but hey, let's hope it doesn't put you off this one. There you are, property number 2. What do you think?
Another very pretty house.
Very pretty, very handsome. We'll start with that, Colin. Very well developed home office, which I'm thinking is probably for you.
Could be.
Could be. And as you can see behind us, that is your acreage. All in all, it's just under 5 acres. And the whole lot overlooking that swathe of the Borders.
It's a little bit formal looking. I really did like the first property. It was a little bit
quirky.
Yeah.
This is a very much more traditional layout, to be fair. Should we have a look?
Yes.
Come on.
This Georgian farmhouse has a Scottish Grade C listing and was renovated in the late 80s, but has retained many of its period features.
Right, let's start in here then. I think you get the idea that this is a much more traditional kind of setup. But is it for you? Is it for Colin?
I really like this.
Yeah, you said, look, you see, don't be so surprised.
I like the big windows, the light and bright, they let all the light in.
I suppose the obvious thing with this one is that it was always designed to be a home. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing about it is that it retains many of those original fixtures and fittings that were put in.
I just find it a little, it just feels average.
Ooh.
Not special.
That's interesting. That's not how I would have described it, and probably not how you would have described it.
It's not jumping out at me just yet.
Right then, let's see if it can give you a fright. Come with me.
After her positive response to the character of our last property, I thought Sarah would love this.
What about this then?
This is better.
Ah, you see?
Yes.
I'm not a big fan of the ceiling.
No, I don't like the ceiling, but you can take that off.
Sure. I like the window there because you can look out right across the field.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful view out there.
And of course, as you go upstairs, the views get better. Look at it. The needle of like is nudging
coming.
upwards, isn't it? Yeah, good. Come with me.
Next door is the kitchen, with a separate utility room.
I suspect I know what you're going to say about this one, Sarah. Colin, what is Sarah going to say about it?
I've never been right when it comes to guessing what Sarah's going to say. But I would take a guess and say the size.
The obvious thing about size and space, I suppose, is that you could, if you were really adventurous, open up that wall and do something quite funky with it. Mm-hmm. You've also got a utility room next door,
Yeah.
and also a sauna. Really, there's a sauna or two there too.
Right, OK.
Nice in the winter, so
Yeah.
I'm told. But no, I mean, you know, that is perhaps the only radical idea I'd introduce to this house, and that would be to potentially sort of open that up.
If I was going to live here, that would be what I would do. But that we would have to factor into the whole equation, because that's not going to be cheap.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you know, and again, it doesn't have to be done straight away either.
As the property is listed, Colin and Sarah would of course need the right permissions before undertaking any works. Upstairs, of the 3 well-appointed double bedrooms, 2 are at the front of the house and enjoy superb views of the surrounding farmland. There's also a shower room and an ensuite bathroom for the master.
So we've just come through this little dressing area with another lovely window, and we step down into what I'm going to broker as the master bedroom. Now, the current owners use one of the bedrooms at the front because of the views, but I'm selling this one to you as the master for the very obvious reason that it has this enormous ensuite, complete with jacuzzi bath.
OK.
Makes sense.
What do you think?
I like the feel of this bedroom because it's quite cosy,
Yes.
and obviously the ensuite's useful, as is the little dressing room at the front.
I think that's really nice, actually.
Yeah.
It's a nice approach to it. Well, let's finish up outside, because obviously the land is the key thing. And, of course, the joy of this one is that the land is outside your front door.
OK.
Right then, after you. Go on, lead on, Colin.
Outside, the current owners have created some really useful spaces in the wraparound gardens. There's a seating area to the front, making the most of the views. A purpose-built office for when Colin's working or wanting some time alone to relax. And in the garden, he'd also have a polytunnel and vegetable patch to keep him busy. For Sarah and the horses, there's a 3.5-acre paddock.
I think in terms of stabling, you'd probably want to start again with something a bit more like we saw at Property 1.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, there is room to do it. The other thing I love about this place is that the current owner is a keen golfer like yourself, and he's tricked it up with his own little green over there to practice his golf swing.
That's
How about
fabulous.
that? So, that's the package.
For me, there's a lot more about the outside of this house that I really like compared to the first one.
Good. So, let's think about the price. What do you think Property 2 is on the market for?
395.
I'm going to say 410.
Well, the good news is it is under budget. The bad news is you're both a bit cheap. This is on the market for offers in excess of 425.
OK.
Right then, off you go. I will come and find you a little bit later.
Under budget, this 3-bedroom Georgian farmhouse comes with a purpose-built office in the garden. There's 3.5 acres of land for the horses, and although Sarah and Colin would need to build equestrian facilities, they'd have enough left over to do so.
There's an awful lot to recommend about this house. Who wouldn't like a house that has its own par 3 where the water has it? In terms of the layout of the house, I'm really taken with it.
It is a lovely house, but I feel there is so much to do to it that it would take us a long time and a lot of money to bring it up to what we'd like.
Actually, Carv, look what I found. There you are, madam.
That's better.
That's for you.
Thank you.
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. Well, not about the weather. Time for a beer, though.
Yes.
Sounds like a plan.
Sarah and Colin are selling their cottage in Cambridgeshire and embarking on a new life in the Scottish borders where Colin grew up. For their £450,000 budget, they're looking for a property on a rural plot with enough space for them, their 3 dogs and Sarah's horse Benito. But coming up, could the mystery house be the dark horse of our search?
Oh, fantastic. What else could you need? There's everything here.
And I return to the ruins of what was once considered one of Scotland's most beautiful buildings.
I mean, the workmanship is second to none. There's barely a paper's width between these joints.
Extraordinary, yes.
Well, as we head into our final day of house hunting here in Scotland with Colin and Sarah, it's clear that our final offering has got some competition in terms of their reaction to property number 1. Now, of course, their whole move is based upon not just their need for a new home, but also the need for land upon which Sarah can create her prospective equestrian business. But is it possible to have too much of a good thing? Well, that is the question our mystery house is going to pose them.
We're finishing up back in Ashkirk, just under 4 miles from where our search began. The nearby town of Selkirk has a selection of shops and places to eat and is famed for its traditional Selkirk bannock fruitcake, still made in bakeries across the borders. In its centre stands a statue of Scottish author and poet Sir Walter Scott, who served as the county's sheriff from 1800 until his death in 1832. Just over 10 minutes in the car takes us to our mystery house, set in the beautiful Borders countryside.
Right then, the wait is over. Here it is, our mystery house.
It's a big house.
It is a big house. It's also pretty much brand new. It's not yet 10 years old.
A new build.
It's a new build. Indeed it is. However, this search is, of course, predicated upon your need for land for your horses. This has 5 acres. It also has a beautiful outdoor school over there with stabling.
Oh, wow.
It also has a bit of woodland. That's a bit of it that you can see there. The rest of it stretches for some 30 acres behind it.
Fantastic.
My goodness.
And beyond it, there's another 10 acres of paddock.
Incredible.
Wow, that's a bit more than 5.
Yeah, 45 acres in all. And don't forget, that woodland might offer you quite an interesting angle on the whole glamping idea.
I'm pretty much blown away.
Come on, let's have a look.
Offering nearly 10 times the amount of land Sarah and Colin asked for, we're definitely taking a risk with this modern mystery house, but so far they don't seem daunted. Inside there's a kitchen diner and a family room to one side of the house, with a sitting room to the other, leading on to a study and a dining room.
We'll start in here then. This is the main living room. Nice sort of dual aspect number.
This is fabulous. It's a super big
Yeah,
space.
good.
Nice log burner.
Yeah. It's been quite cleverly thought out, this, because it all flows through those double doors to the dining room, which again comes back out into the central hallway. Yeah. And then through that door, bottom left, you've got current study. But you could use the other reception room that's across the hallway as well, if you wanted to.
Very good.
The flow through from the lounge through the dining room's really good when you're entertaining, so
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Absolutely. And that overlooks the more modestly sized back garden when you've finished walking around your 45 acres out the front. Come on. So this is the other door into the dining room, conveniently next to, obviously, the kitchen.
Oh, this is fabulous. It's an L shape, so there's different areas. There's plenty of storage space. I really like this.
This will work really well.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this very warm smiles. I'm feeling the love here. This is all good.
Yes.
I like this a lot.
Is it because you can see it being a very easy thing to just move into?
Yes. You know, when you're moving so far away and you've got work to set up, businesses to set up, you don't really want to be doing a huge amount to the house. Yes, maybe later on down the line, but having somewhere you can move into that's fine straight away.
Well, I think you're going to be busy enough outside, aren't you?
I think so.
Right, let's have a look upstairs and see what we can find you.
Well, our mystery house is certainly working its magic. They're already picturing themselves living here. On the first floor, there are 4 bedrooms, including 3 well-presented doubles and a single sharing the use of a modern family bathroom.
And then this is the master with loads of storage, as you can see. It also comes with a shower en suite there.
Oh, fantastic. What else could you need? There's everything here.
Perfect. Very good. Very happy.
I still can't believe what you found. Yeah, this is brilliant.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know what to say at the minute. I'm still thinking about it all.
Oh, it's getting a bit emotional, isn't it? Oh, look, that's good. That means it's working.
Yeah, it is.
Excellent.
But it's now time to take in what the outside has to offer. To the side of the property, there's a decked area for entertaining and a number of outbuildings. There are some lovely landscape gardens surrounding it, but I want to show them the extent of the land.
Well, this point will give us a glimpse of just some of these 45 acres. This slot here, this paddock with the ponies in it and the horses, just setting the scene for you, goes right down to that little copse of new conifers at the bottom, and then away off beyond the trees to reveal the other 10 acres of paddock, and the whole thing, of course, encompassing the 30-odd acres of woodland.
It's incredible.
It's an absolutely stunning view. It's amazing.
I don't know what to say. Really don't.
Should we talk about the price then?
We can.
It's our final guess of the week for, I think we'll all agree, a pretty substantial property.
I would say this is over budget. I would say around 475.
475. Sarah?
I'm going to be a little more optimistic and hope 465.
It's on the market for offers in excess of £450,000.
You're joking.
I'll get my checkbook.
I can't believe that it's that price for all this land.
And the house, not forget. Good. Right, we'll go and have an explore. Check out the outdoor school, the stabling, of course, for Benito. Off you go. Take your time.
Built less than 10 years ago, our modern mystery house offers Sarah and Colin far more than they ever expected to get for their money. There are 4 bedrooms and a study for Colin in the house, and outside the land extends to an incredible 45 acres. Plenty of space for horses, as well as any future business ventures.
Well, there's just the one stable at the moment, but that's OK for Benito to start off with. But there's so much possibility here for how we could redesign it.
I agree.
It's brilliant.
Of the 3 properties we've seen, it's got more facilities already in place. The house is fantastic. It's got the woods, which is something I'm really interested in.
I love house number 1, but I think this is really special. I could see myself living here tomorrow.
Happy?
Very happy.
I am delighted, because now is the time when you get to consider all that we have shown you, and I hope come up with a decision for the future. Come on, cup of tea time.
Founded in 1136 by King David, Melrose Abbey was the first Cistercian abbey in Scotland. Its proximity to the English border meant that it was frequently attacked by invading English armies. In 1322, Edward II burnt it down, and it was rebuilt a few years later by King Robert the Bruce, only to be destroyed again by Richard II's army in 1385. I've come to meet historian Adrian Cox to explore the surviving 15th century remains.
Adrian, the surroundings are absolutely magnificent, but an area that's been so troubled over the centuries with war and conflict, you wonder how it survived.
It has, as you say, right on the border. It was a target straight away for attacks for any invading army.
The original community was Cistercian.
Yes.
Who were they and where did they come from?
The Cistercians came from Citeaux near Dijon in Burgundy, and they were an order who believed in getting back to the austere principles of the Benedictine order. Their austerity meant that they were very much focused on prayer and hard labour, encouraged by David I to settle in the area.
The turbulent borders doesn't seem like the place to come.
Well, one of the reasons that David founded it here was to make a statement as it's looking across the border to England and making a statement saying the Scottish monarchy is strong, the Scottish church is strong, here's the abbey to prove it, and it is magnificent, as you say.
David I was a pious king. In his lifetime, he founded 20 monastic establishments right across Scotland. Today, the abbey's impressive remains are best viewed from what was once the cloister.
In the centre here where we're standing would have been gardens, and it would have been surrounded by a covered walkway.
I mean, the workmanship is second to none. You can barely get a paper between these joints, and that's all down to the expertise of the Lay brothers.
It's exquisite, isn't it, really? The effort that's gone into the building and the carvings is extraordinary, yes.
You're now charged with the job of keeping it going for hopefully several centuries more, Adrian. Where do you start?
We have to make interventions occasionally, checking the condition of the stonework, sometimes doing some repointing or stone replacement very, very carefully. Every little part of the building is assessed for its condition and its needs in terms of conservation. Constant process.
The abbey brought change to the local landscape. The educated monks made it a centre of learning, and the Lay brothers introduced farming skills to the area. From sheep farming, Melrose became wealthy for exporting high-quality wool from ports around Scotland. But perhaps its greatest claim to fame is that it's said to hold the heart of Robert the Bruce here in the Abbey's chapter house.
So, silly question, is there a heart underneath this stone?
There is, yes. In 1921, it was discovered archaeologically that there is a heart burial here in a lead casket. It's of the right sort of date for Robert the Bruce's time as well.
Begging the question, where's the rest of Robert the Bruce then?
Well, on Robert the Bruce's death in 1329, his heart was removed from his chest and embalmed and taken on crusade, and only later brought back here and interred at Melrose Abbey. But his body is buried at Dumfries Abbey, which was a favoured burial spot for the royal family.
But how common was it to bury just a heart?
Heart burial wasn't uncommon in the medieval period for wealthy people, and we're here in the chapter house where abbots would have been buried and wealthy patrons as well, so it's not impossible that this heart might belong to one of them, for example.
So is that the controversy?
Yes, because you would expect the heart of a King of Scots to be buried in the church rather than in the chapter house.
But is this the only heart that you've found at Melrose?
It is, yes. It's the only one to have been discovered.
So in fairness, we could give Robert the Bruce the benefit of the doubt.
We could perhaps, yes.
Right then, we'll leave you to it, Your Majesty. Well, it is now, of course, decision time for Colin and for Sarah. Now, this week, I think we've given them 3 really strong options, but my sense is that it has now come down to a choice of simply 2. But of course, they can buy only 1. So what's the answer going to be? Well, let's go and ask them. Well, Colin, Sarah, a chance for you to move back home, Colin, a chance for you to hopefully realise your hopes of an equestrian business in the Borders. Are we any nearer to finding you a solution?
I think we've got 2 fairly strong options at the moment, but I think we have a lot of talking to do.
A lot.
Property 1 is a neater package. It would be easier just to jump straight in, but it doesn't offer the long-term opportunities that the Mystery House does.
In the long term, I think the mystery property has the more scope for our projects.
So I think we can all agree 2 very interesting options, but the burning question is, what happens next?
We're really going to have to do a lot of thinking about this. It was good to see 1 property that matched what we wanted. Amazing to see 2, both of which were... We didn't think you would find properties like that.
Have we given you too much to think about?
Yes, I think so. We're going to have an interesting drive back south.
Well, guys, it's been a great deal of fun this week. I'm delighted we've been able to find you not 1, but 2 really exciting options. But we look forward to hearing how you get on in due course. Best of luck.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Well, you may recall that I said when we started this show that I've always had a certain romance for Scotland, and that's a view that hasn't changed this week. The rather warm and shared sense of purpose that Colin and Sarah have brought to this search has been palpable. They came up here looking for a home in which they could horse around on the Borders, and hopefully, well, that's exactly what we've been able to find them. Now, they may, at this point, be feeling slightly spoilt for choice, but I think they're a couple worth spoiling. I'll see you next time. If you'd like to escape to the country in Scotland, Wales, England or Northern Ireland and need our help, you can apply online at bbc.co.uk/Be On A Show.